Hey, welcome back to another of our episode of the Red Pill versus Blue Pill. Hope you all are doing well. This is Dr. Delon. I hope you'll have a fantastic and pretty relaxing weekend as we start embarking into the next season. I'm happy to be here. Again, I'm Dr. Delon Canterbury, the founder of Red Pill versus Blue Pill. Hey, how's it going, Miss Zeno? Appreciate you joining in live. Hope you're doing well. What's going on, Charlene? How are you? Thank y'all for tuning in. This is again the fourth video of our Deprescribing accelerator. Yes, but more so the red pill versus blue pill, where we choose the red pill to break against the world of overprescribing that I feel our healthcare system loves to thrive on. So, welcome back. Today we'll be discussing some of the four secrets that can help you in the world of trying to sell and really market deprescribing, which we as pharmacists naturally have, but also other advocates in deprescribing can use who are specifically focused on treating our seniors. So again, welcome back. Hope y'all doing well. We're talking a little bit more about really the getting into this space, right? Getting into deprescribing. I mean, let's be honest, not everyone knows quite exactly what the words mean. I mean, when you tell a patient, hey, you've been deprescribed before, not everyone is just familiar, right? Let's be honest. So there is a little bit of re-educating and kind of breaking down what exactly all this stuff means. So we are again focusing on leveraging and monetizing the safe removal of harmful medications within particularly our seniors, but truthfully, a lot of us are over medicated, right? We know this is an ongoing issue. We love to overtreat, but we don't think to discuss when to stop. So let's be honest. We as clinicians aren't exactly in this to become entrepreneurs, right? Not all of us have this mindset. We're here to serve. And so we are taught to serve and give everything away from our beautiful bleeding hearts. And well, we don't think, hey, my skill set as a pharmacist, as a geriatrician, as a prescriber in the senior space can be leveled up if I actually start providing a value-based service that can still generate revenue, right? And yeah, it may be cash-based, sure. You could probably bill insurance as well. It may not get the most out of it, but it's still something that can be done. So let's be real. We're not taught to just think of this, oh, let me deprescribe this and let me sell that. But that's one of the first steps you're going to have to take when it comes to really discussing the problem of over medication worldwide, particularly seniors. But truthfully, we got to get comfortable owning our gift and owning all those years of schools we've already invested in well, doing what we know is right. And then, when I was in retail, I didn't feel I could do always what was right. I couldn't always feel I can tell patients to get off of this or consider other options because my job was to keep you on it. My job was to make sure my 90-day counts looked good. My job was to make sure that them copays went through, right? And to make sure that you can get the cheapest thing possible. But it really wasn't an incentive to let's really get you off 5 meds. That's counter to what we're supposed to do, particularly in big box chains. So in this space as a clinician, right, we want to serve to the best of our abilities, okay? But the problem is we know that there's a huge tidal wave of pills of over medicating that is habitual, it's actually a part of our healthcare model. So how do we go against this, right? How can we really address the elephant in the room? Okay. And so I think this one common myth I find as I speak to other clinicians who are interested in this is that they think they need all of the credentials in the world to make this happen. Like, you don't need another MTM certification to deprescribe. You don't need a board certified geriatric pharmacist credential to deprescribe. All this stuff is like myths, bro. Like, I'm so sorry. I mean, they have utility and they can help, But this isn't required to start selling yourself. This isn't required to get into the mindset of positioning yourself with patients and providers as the expert. They don't teach you this stuff in school. This is not in a course. Like, this is literally what you learn when you start putting yourself out there. So I think there's this, yeah, analysis paralysis, sure, but there's more so this need of, well, I'm not a geriatric XYZ, so therefore I can't do this. When I'm like, no, I mean, we are teaching caregivers to do the same thing as deprescribers. They may not have the license, but ultimately we're doing a review, we're seeing problematic meds, and we're just saying, hey, here's what you can do. So don't get it twisted in thinking you would need to have an 8-year degree to make deprescribing something monetizable or a revenue stream for you. And even our alumni, aren't all pharmacists, right? We have nurses who have finished our program and are using deprescribing to literally start deprescribing conferences, to literally talk about medication safety in their communities, to now use this as a potential revenue stream and teach other nurses who may be senior facing on how to use some of the same skills. So again, let's get out of this myth of thinking I got to add more credentials. I need to work in a long-term care pharmacy for 20 years. I need to be at a SNF. I need to know all the Medicare rules. Like, bro, that does not matter when it comes to selling yourself. So get out of your head of thinking you need XYZ credential, XYZ certification test. Like, in business, it really doesn't matter. What matters is how you're serving, and what matters is if you're solving the immediate need to that person's problem. And then articulating your value is the next secret, okay? Being able to communicate the value that you're able to bring. Let's be honest. I talk to retail pharmacists often who are like, can I really do this? Am I capable? You completely are. But let's not downplay what you've done in that retail setting. All because you're in retail pharmacy doesn't make you a lesser of a pharmacist, right? Let's not downplay the fact that you still are consistently, quickly, and accurately saving these lives. And you're going to have all types of polypharmacy issues. You're going to have all types of prescribing cascades. And there are times where you've gone to the nitty-gritty wire to bat for your patients, okay? So do not downplay, oh, I'm currently here, so I can't deprescribe. I'm like, well, you can. Maybe not in favor of your current position in retail, but you definitely can use this as a service that you yourself, not XYZ company you work for, but you can use as a skill set to, again, monetize and sell because you already had the experience, okay? So let's be honest. Why isn't there more of a transition of just us as pharmacists and clinicians in this space to become active deprescribers? Let's be honest. The phrasing is a little bit nuanced. It's a little bit new. It does require a team-based approach. It does require getting permission from the provider. So we think, well, it's all on the provider. And again, that is a myth. Deprescribing is a multi-layered step here. Of course, there needs to be basic education and awareness, right? And it needs to come from someone who the patient trusts, all right? And last I checked, pharmacists are still some of the most trusted healthcare professionals out there. So if you're already trusted and you're coming from a lens of serving and objectivity, then why not put that energy out there? Why not put yourself out there and face that fear and advocate to that on what we can possibly get our patients off of? It's doable. So I think we love to just wait for someone to tell us what to do. Entrepreneurship does not work this way. Like, we're waiting for permission from the Board of Pharmacy to do this. We're waiting for new laws to pass to see if we can really, really work. Like, let's be honest. We already had the expertise, the experience, and the power, and we clearly passed all these tests to get here. So don't get it twisted. You already have it. It's just like we're just stuck. We're just stuck. Like, we're not using this power that we know we have, and we just feel confined to the box, I guess, pun intended, the big boxes, but to our health system. And our health system does suck. I'm not gonna lie. It's problematic. There's a lot of gaps. It's fragmented, doesn't always work, and we're not being used at the top of our license. But I guarantee you this, when you start telling these insurance companies that you've been able to get 20 seniors off of benzodiazepines, or you're able to reduce opioid use in a nursing home because of your deprescribing ability, or you're maybe able to reduce falls in another nursing home because you managed to reduce issues with walking with dementia patients, right? All examples, but they all can stem from deprescribing. So there's, again, continued trust that needs to be made with the patient. There needs to be trust with the provider, right? We're not just telling people to just get off of all this stuff just for fun. Like, it needs to be a strategic and supervised process. There needs to be a trusted messenger. If the patient doesn't even know you or care about you, you really think your med review is going to make a difference? You really think that's going to make a difference if they don't really actually know you and you're not consistently talking to them? So deprescribing starts with a conversation. It starts with just trust. It starts with continued just awareness, empowering our patients, and more specifically, our caregivers, the one who manage these meds and are thrown into this space. So I want us as pharmacists to get out of our heads and stop waiting for permission to start living the life you've been dreaming of. And I'm not trying to sell dreams, but we got to stop waiting for someone to tell us, yeah, it's okay, you go ahead and do that. Like, you need to just do it if you really care and know it's aligned with your purpose and it's morally right, especially if it's going to help you potentially make and create a new service for yourself. So another thing is, apart from just having this need to wait for permission or waiting for more credentials after our name before we get comfortable selling ourselves, which again is still a myth, is sometimes we want to just have more experience or data. We want more clinical data of what we're doing to substantiate making that leap into entrepreneurship, into selling yourself, into the world of deprescribing. And I think what we fail to forget is how deprescribing is generally a win-win-win. We are, as pharmacists or whoever the advocate is, we are fulfilled in knowing that our expertise is helping someone take off 4 or 5 meds, right? That's dope. That's a great feeling to know that there's 4 or 5 less copays this person has to pay, and 4 or 5 less drugs that may be causing interactions or side effects or having other harmful genotypical, exacerbations, right? And then there's the provider who now has less meds to document, less meds to renew, less time wasted, managing symptoms from some of these medications, which we see all too often in our polypharmacy and prescribing cascades, especially in our seniors. So now there's less headache on the provider's end because they're not wasting resources managing a patient who is suffering from preventable adverse events. That's brilliant. That's going to help them save time and help them give better care to more patients, which again hits their RVUs. They're basically their way of getting reimbursed for their services. And if we're able to show we're reducing falls and other potential indirect costs, we are reducing harm. And that is a win for our patients who are now feeling better, who are now not having to go back for another visit, not taking time out of work to, see their doctor because they're still sick. There's lessened absenteeism. They can get paid. They can go enjoy life with their grandbabies, what have you, right? But they're living a quality of life. So if the quality of life is improving for our patients, then hey, that equates to customer satisfaction. And guess what that is? That is a HEDIS measure. That is a Medicare reimbursement measure. So there is a long road to why I'm saying all this stuff, but this is how you're able to pivot market yourself as not only an expert in deprescribing, but how to speak the language that some of our providers may not know why deprescribing is important, or may not be aware that pharmacists can even provide this for, X number of patients. So I think this still comes down to, I think we just feel trapped from our job sometimes because we're not living in that holistic passion and alignment with what we want to do. And frankly, every pharmacist knows that what I'm speaking is true. We have an over-medicated world. I mean, from the kids to the adults, everyone is taking pills for something they likely may not need anymore. And I think some are definitely appropriate, right? But something we got to start doing is just simply talking about it. I mean, one of our alums, Sharon Fant, talks about it. She literally has an ongoing bi-weekly healing healthy circle with her business, and she discusses med safety whenever she wants to with her group. She discusses deprescribing. She had an amazing conversation just earlier this year about it. So this can be a continuous, ongoing discussion, but it shouldn't be a one-time discussion, for one. And two, when are you going to start reaching for those dreams that we have had the minute we graduated? When are you going to start hitting those goals? When are you going to start taking the leap? How are you going to start investing in yourself? Are you going to start investing the time to read up on getting into this space? Or, hey, checking out our system to make it do it for you. We got to stop being scared to sell high-ticket services for an expertise that, only 300,000 of us even have in the US, that an entire million amount population still has a need for. Like over 40 to 60 million people are even on Medicare alone. So deprescribing isn't just, let me sell this one-on-one service. I mean, this can literally be consulting for nursing homes. This could be consulting for insurance companies. This could be working for quality improvement networks, which are third parties that literally audit Medicare services brought about by nursing homes. You can use deprescribing to leverage workman comp claims, right? Workman comp people do not want patients on meds, but they got to pay for it. So if you have a way to give a deprescribing review and then still help the patient, and then you're getting them off of pills, the insurance is saving money, the patient's saving money. Well, it's free for workman's comp, but you get my point. May lose revenue for the pharmacy, but I guess what I'm getting at is I think we hamper ourselves. So there is a limitless possibility here. You can kind of take this where you want, but we have to, one, celebrate the wins, big or small, from our current jobs and ways you may have deprescribed. And I mean, it could be conversation. It could be actually catching a huge harmful drug interaction. Could be you getting a genetic certification and finding a really harmful gene-drug interaction. All of these are ways to advocate, but it still starts with a conversation. And we can't be afraid as deprescribers to have this conversation, whether it be with providers or patients. We also can't be afraid to sell our services. We can't be afraid to sell our gift in doing this. But what you want to start doing is using some basic tools and systems and integrate them into your processes to deprescribe. I mean, one of the easiest ones I tell my patients or caregivers is, are you on more than 5 or 7 medications? And then I tell them to ask that question on how I can get off of these medications safely at every doctor's visit. Even if you see them once a year, I teach my patients to ask that every visit. What can I do, doc, to get off some of these meds, right? So that's one thing, getting a system in place for deprescribing. We mentioned in a past video using the Beers list, right? Beers list is basically a list of about 200 drugs or so that are problematic for seniors. And they list why they're problematic, and they give the rationale, and they give what you can do as alternatives, okay? just having a talk with your team about a section in the beers list and doing that once a week is going to, again, educate your team on potentially harmful high risk meds. And when a team knows what may be problematic, you have more evidence to advocate and you have more room to help our patients. Okay. So, in terms of the secrets to selling Deprescribing, you got to first be bold and you got to call a spade a spade. And that is, we have an overmedic healthcare system. There's no denying that. So once we have that ground covered, you can dive into here's how we solve the problem. Okay. So owning your expertise as pharmacists to solve this problem, which we are taught to do. Now we're just teaching more of our community members how to do the same thing with their loved ones or for themselves. Okay. So own your gift. That's number one. Two, don't be afraid. Don't feel like you need more data to become the boss expert Deprescriber that you already are. Like, you probably already have the data if you have a job, at least for the last few months or years, but you have the data. We just don't think to celebrate that data or that win or that intervention you made in someone's life for the better. Do not fall victim to these damn credentials. Like, yo, I'm a geriatric pharmacist. You really think you need to be a geriatric pharmacist to Deprescribe and get people off of harmful meds? You don't. It's a nice to have, but you don't need to have it to start selling yourself as the expert. I also don't like the fact that sometimes we just feel like we take all these tests and trainings and credentials, but we don't even act. So the inaction, you got to take action. You got to move. You got to take that leap. Hey, Martin, appreciate you sharing. Yeah. Martin mentioned that he's a retired pharmacist and really used to love clinical dosing, like dosing people clinically. I'm like, man, that's great. That's what I'm saying. Like, we have the gifts. Like, we know the dose, but I think we're afraid to jump out of that lane. So I was kind of going down a road, and I guess I'm going to wind up with number 4, and that is to basically, excuse me. I think this the best thing you could probably do here is really choosing an area in the Deprescribing world that you have a passion for. What makes you wake up every day? Is it diabetes, health and wellness? Is it nutrition? Is it pharmacogenomics? Like, what piece of our population, particularly seniors, do you have a calling for? Like, do you have a loved one who deals with dementia or walking around? Do you have a loved one who is still, suffering from opioid use disorder and doesn't really know how to get weaned off? Where do you want to go with Deprescribing? That's my question to you. And how does that align with your passion, your desire to wake up and actually feel like you're doing something that makes you tick, right? So how are you serving the people that align most with your passion as a clinician, as a pharmacist, as a Deprescriber? Start there. And wherever that is, we have all types of different types of coaches, health coaches, diabetes consultants. I mean, whatever makes you tick, okay? We gotta tackle the problem of not assuming every med is safe. So once you find that niche, now it's a matter of being comfortable selling yourself for a higher ticket, for a higher cash value, because what we're doing doesn't come cheap, sure, but you've invested years into schooling, you've invested student loans into getting that degree, and you've invested a lot of time and energy, and you need to be compensated adequately for that, not based on some hourly cap that a corporation dictates for you. We're no longer doing that. We're not teaching people to charge hourly. We're teaching people how to sell a high ticket service using Deprescribing, and that's going to give you that warm, fuzzy feeling back, and it's also going to give you the freedom to financially move the way you want to move while doing what you love. I hope that was helpful. I think I went a little all over the place in terms of which were the secrets, but let's be honest, there's fear, there's positioning yourself with a niche service, which is deprescribing within the senior space, but where do you want to go with it? Falls risks, opioids, dementia, OTCs or herbals, genomics. Where do you want to go with that, and how do you want to advocate, and what aligns with what really why you became a clinician to begin with, right? Get back to that deep core passion that I think our profession has sometimes made a little hard to digest at times. I can't lie. So there were a couple of things we talked about, but what resonated with you? Deprescribing starts with the passion. It starts with your story. You don't need all these trainings and credentials and fancy letters after your name to be a patient advocate. You don't. We're really just at a base level glorified patient advocates. And trust me, our senior citizens need patient advocates left and right on retainer almost every day. There's always something that needs to be that they need help with. And that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. Okay. So let me know what resonated with you. Love to know your thoughts, your comments. I want us to break free from our trapped position and really unleash what we have innately as deprescribers, as pharmacists, as advocates, as people who have a loved one who are basically in the exact same boat as all of our patients we see every day. All right. So thank you all for tuning in. Appreciate the love as always. And tune in tomorrow. We'll be back with some more. So look forward to seeing you and have an amazing week. Take care, y'all.